As you're driving alone on a quiet road at night, you notice there's something at the side of the road. At first you think it's an animal, so you slow down to take a look. Then it stands up. What would you do? It was the summer of 1972 and something strange was happening in Defiance, Ohio. Within about a week, 3 people had contacted police after seeing something they couldn't explain. All 3 encounters happened during the early hours of the morning. One of those reports came from a railway worker. He was working between 2 train cars connecting an air hose when he noticed something beneath one of the cars. It was a pair of large feet covered in hair. But when he looked up, he saw a tall, hairy figure, apparently wearing jeans and carrying what looked like a piece of wood. Another railway worker apparently laughed off the story. But about a week later, he also reported seeing something himself. His description was very brief, but whatever he'd seen was very hairy. Then came a third report. At around 4 in the morning, a man was driving through the area when something big ran across the road in front of his car and then disappeared from view. Police said all 3 descriptions were similar, although they were also quite vague. Early estimates put the figure somewhere between 7 and 9 feet tall, although the police chief thought that might have been a little exaggerated. And he had another idea about what he thought people were seeing. He thought it could be someone wearing some kind of disguise or a mask. No one was ever identified, and eventually the reports simply stopped. So what was happening in Defiance? Was someone deliberately frightening people? Or had these witnesses seen something they simply couldn't explain? But Defiance wasn't the only place where something strange had been reported. Years later, hundreds of miles away, another story was beginning to unfold. This time we're in rural Wisconsin, near a quiet stretch of road just outside the town of Elkhorn. In 1991, stories were circulating about something strange being seen in the area, and eventually those stories reached a local newspaper reporter. Her name was Linda Godfrey. At first she wasn't convinced there was much to the story, but then she spoke to the county humane officer. He had already been keeping notes on reports he'd received. And as Linda looked a little further into the story, she found 2 women who were willing to talk about what they'd seen. The earlier encounter happened at night while one of the women was driving. She noticed something at the side of the road. It appeared to be eating something. She described it as roughly the size of a person, brownish grey in colour, with pointed ears and an unusually long face. She also remembered large teeth and long claws. When it looked towards her, its eyes appeared to glow, but she thought that could simply have been the reflection from her headlights. Whatever it was, it didn't appear frightened, and it didn't run away. The second encounter happened in October 1991. Again, it was at night. This time, the woman was driving along Bray Road when she thought she'd hit something. She stopped her car and got out to check. That's when she noticed something running towards her. She described it as large and hairy, with a broad chest and moving very quickly. From the way it was running, she thought it may have been on 2 legs. She quickly got back into her car and drove away. According to her account, whatever she'd seen grabbed hold of the back of the car before slipping off. She later said there were scratches on the car. Later that evening, she travelled back along the same road, but this time she wasn't alone, and once again something was seen at the side of the road, apparently eating. There were similarities between the 2 encounters. Both happened at night while the women were driving. Both described something large and covered in hair, and in both accounts, whatever they'd seen appeared to be eating something. But the encounters weren't exactly the same. One described something roughly the size of a person. The other thought it was bigger than a large dog, but smaller than a bear. And while the first stayed where it was, the second reportedly ran towards her. The county humane officer had a much simpler explanation for what people might be seeing. His best guess was a coyote or possibly a wolf. He thought the way these animals moved might explain some of the reports. But even he wasn't completely sure what people were seeing. When Linda's article was published, the story didn't end there. More people began coming forward with experiences of their own. Some even claimed their encounters had happened years earlier. And as the story spread, the Beast of Bray Road became a legend. 2 places, years apart, and people reporting something they couldn't explain. In Defiance, police wondered if someone was wearing a disguise. At Bray Road, a wolf or coyote seemed possible. Maybe there was a perfectly ordinary explanation. Or maybe these people really did see something unusual. So what do you think they saw? If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Until next time, stay curious.